Hollywood was a wild place, but nothing, absolutely nothing, it spun out of control like One-Eyed Jacks. The only movie Marlon Brando ever directed, born from a script Stanley Kubrick walked away from and forged in 6 months of blown budgets, rewrites, oceanfront gunfights, and Brando drinking himself into character. It's the kind of production where the behind-the-scenes stories are crazier than anything happening on camera. Studios panicking, editors drowning in film reels, and Brando literally destroying footage because he didn't like how he looked. So grab your saddle and hang on, because this is one of the strangest westerns ever made, and the deeper you go, the weirder it gets. These are 16 weird facts about One-Eyed Jacks, the movie that nearly broke Marlon Brando and still became a classic.
I think of the money waiting in that bank just makes me want to cry.
Number 16. The Mexico shoot that never happened. Brando wanted One-Eyed Jacks to feel raw, dusty, and brutally authentic. So his plan was to shoot the entire movie in Mexico, using real frontier landscapes instead of Hollywood backlots. He pushed hard for it, believing the setting would give the story a harsher, more dangerous edge. But Paramount wasn't having it. The studio balked at the cost, the travel, the unpredictable terrain, and the idea of Brando, already a wild card, directing miles away from their control. They shut the plan down and forced production back to California. It was the first big fight of many, and it set the tone for a production that would only get messier from here.
You go in there and get the room. Coming back.
Number 15. The final film in VistaVision. By the early 60s, Hollywood was phasing out VistaVision, the widescreen format famous for its rich color and razor-sharp detail. Studios were moving on, but One-Eyed Jacks slipped in as a last gasp of the old tech. Despite the production chaos, the studio decided to shoot the entire movie in VistaVision, making it the final feature film ever released using that format. It's a strange, unintended milestone. Brando's only directing job also closed the door on a major chapter of Hollywood cinematography. And honestly, the sweeping ocean shots and those massive close-ups look so good, VistaVision went out with a bang.
5 years to be spending that stinking home. By the time we leave it later.
Number 14. An Oscar nomination through the chaos. You'd think a production this messy would sink every department on set, but the cinematography not only survived the storm, it shined. Charles Lang, a Hollywood veteran, managed to craft gorgeous, painterly images, while everything around him was sliding off schedule, off budget, and sometimes off the rails entirely. The Academy took notice. Despite Brando's improvisations, endless retakes, and marathon shooting days, Lang earned an Oscar nomination for Best Cinematography, Color. It was one of the only parts of the film the industry universally agreed was masterful. In a movie born from chaos, the camera stayed steady and beautiful.
I told you I'd be with you in a minute, Howard.
Number 13. Brando's first cut was nearly 5 hours long. When Brando finally turned in his first completed edit, studio executives didn't see a Western, they saw a 5-hour epic. He had filmed so much material and fallen in love with so many moments that trimming it down became almost impossible for him. This massive cut terrified Paramount. No theater could run it, no audience could sit through it, and no schedule could survive the months it would take to refine. It became the first major sign that Brando's perfectionism was spiraling far beyond what a studio film could handle. It was a bold artistic swing, but also a warning flare for the trouble ahead.
I'm still in business.
Number 12. A 3-month shoot that dragged into 6. Paramount originally budgeted One-Eyed Jacks for a tidy, manageable 3-month shoot. A standard Western, a simple production, nothing too crazy. Then, Brando started directing. Retakes piled up, scenes were rewritten on the spot, locations shifted, and improvisation became the daily routine. What was supposed to be a quick schedule ballooned into 6 exhausting months, doubling the planned production time and rattling everyone involved. It was the moment the studio realized this wasn't going to be just another Western. This was turning into a Brando-sized storm.
Are you waiting for my father?
Number 11. The budget exploded from $2 million to nearly $6 million. Studios love predictable numbers, and One-Eyed Jacks gave them the exact opposite. Paramount greenlit the film expecting a budget in the $1.8 to $2 million range, standard for a prestige Western of the era. But once the delays, rewrites, endless reshoots, and Brando's massive shooting ratio kicked in, the cost skyrocketed. By the time the dust settled, the film had swollen to roughly $5 to $6 million, tripling its original estimate and giving Paramount executives weekly headaches. It was one of the biggest warning signs that this production was slipping far out of control. And Brando wasn't slowing down.
But she was out with him all night.
She's all right.
Number 10. Brando's first and only time in the director's chair. For all his legend as an actor, Brando almost never stepped behind the camera. One-Eyed Jacks was his moment, his chance to prove he could direct with the same intensity he brought to his performances. And for a while, the experiment looked promising. But the improvisation, the endless takes, the perfectionism, and the sheer strain of balancing acting with directing pushed him to the edge. Hollywood watched closely, and Brando realized firsthand why most stars don't double up on a production this massive. By the end, he was drained, and he never directed another movie again. Before we dive into the top 9, the truly wild part of this Brando tornado, take a second to hype this video so YouTube knows you're enjoying it and pushes it to more people who love classic cinema chaos as much as you do. And if you're new here, subscribe, because we break down the strangest, most unbelievable behind-the-scenes stories from the golden age of movies every single week. Alright, let's get back to a set where Kubrick bailed, Brando took over, the studio panicked, and things are only getting weirder from here.
Give me some flour.
What kind would you like?
Number 9. Kubrick quit just 2 weeks before shooting. Before Brando took the reins, One-Eyed Jacks was supposed to be a Stanley Kubrick project. Yes, that Kubrick. He had been developing the film, crafting its tone, and preparing to direct a very different version of the story. But as production neared, Kubrick grew frustrated with the script, the pacing, and Paramount's expectations. So he did the unthinkable. He walked away just 2 weeks before cameras were set to roll, leaving the studio scrambling, and the project suddenly without a captain. And that's when Brando stepped up, setting the stage for one of the most chaotic directorial debuts in Hollywood history.
What is that?
Hey, you boys, you wait here, and I'll be back right away.
Number 8. Brando bought the rights and built his own studio just to control the movie. Brando didn't stumble into One-Eyed Jacks. He engineered it. After reading Charles Nider's novel, The Authentic Death of Henry Jones, he became obsessed with its themes of loyalty, betrayal, and fractured masculinity. He didn't want to star in someone else's version of the story. He wanted to shape the entire thing from the inside out. So, he did something almost no actor of the era would dare. He bought the rights himself, writing a personal check for $150,000, and then founded his own production company, Pennebaker Productions, to make sure no studio could dilute his vision. This move gave Brando a level of creative authority that was nearly unheard of. He wasn't just the star, he was the architect. And it worked for a while, until all that freedom collided with his perfectionism, his improvisations, and the chaos that would soon swallow the entire production whole.
What do you say, kid?
You better kill me.
Number 7. Brando negotiated a deal so wild, he'd pocket 100% of the profits. Brando wasn't just thinking like an artist, he was thinking like a shark. When he secured the rights and set up Pennebaker Productions, he used that leverage to strike one of the boldest financial deals of the entire decade. Instead of settling for a standard salary or a modest back-end percentage, Brando negotiated a setup where Paramount only got its distribution fee, and he would receive every remaining dollar of profit. This wasn't normal. Stars in the early 60s didn't get deals like this, not even the biggest ones. But with his post on the waterfront fame and his growing mystique, Brando had enough clout to push the studio into agreeing. They believed the production would be smooth, the budget would stay tight, and the film would turn a quick profit. They didn't foresee the spiraling schedule, the massive overruns, or the mountain of footage he'd end up shooting. In the end, the movie's chaotic production wiped out the financial upside. But the deal itself? It shows exactly how much power Brando wielded, and how badly he wanted this project to be his, no matter the cost.
Say, they really did mash that ass.
Number 6. Brando got so method, he ruined his own drunk scene. Brando believed in authenticity to a dangerous degree. So when One-Eyed Jacks called for his character to be drunk, he didn't fake it. He started drinking for real. At first, the crew thought it was classic Brando intensity, a star fully committing to the moment. But things escalated fast. Brando drank too much, slipped past in character, and ended up so drunk he could barely deliver lines, let alone direct the scene he was supposed to be orchestrating. The set ground to a halt. Crew members waited, lighting rigs burned, film stock sat ready, and Brando, both actor and director, was effectively out of commission. It turned a simple shoot day into a slow-motion disaster, one more delay stacked on a production already drowning in them. It became one of the infamous stories from the set, the day Brando went full method and accidentally sabotaged his own movie.
Well, you must have heard of me, Sheriff. Johnson.
Number 5. Brando shot nearly 1 million feet of film. Most directors shoot a comfortable amount of footage, enough for options, but manageable in the edit. Brando? He blew past every standard, every guideline, every warning sign. By the end of production, he had reportedly shot close to 1 million feet of film, a staggering amount even by today's standards. At the time, it was practically unheard of. Why so much? Brando's directing style leaned heavily on improvisation, endless retakes, and long rolling takes where he let actors explore emotional variations. He wanted truth, spontaneity, and lightning in a bottle moments, but chasing that meant burning through film stock at an industrial pace. Each roll of VistaVision stock wasn't cheap either, especially not when multiplied by the hundreds. It left editors buried under mountains of celluloid.
Well, maybe you better change it, because your style seems a touch slow to me.
Number 4. Paramount cut 40 minutes and took the film away from Brando. Brando's 3-hour cut was already a miracle of survival after the 5-hour monster he first assembled, but even that was far too long for Paramount. Executives had been watching the production spiral for months, and by the time the movie hit the editing room, their patience and their trust had evaporated. So the studio stepped in. Against Brando's wishes, Paramount executives took control of the film in post-production, trimming roughly 40 minutes from his preferred version. Scenes were reshaped, pacing was tightened, and several moments Brando believed were essential to the film's emotional tone were simply removed. It wasn't just an edit, it was a takeover. It was the moment Brando realized the movie no longer belonged to him.
You gonna try to stop me, Cholo?
Number 3. From troubled release to National Film Registry status. When One-Eyed Jacks finally reached theaters, it wasn't greeted as a masterpiece. Critics were mixed, the box office was lukewarm, and the film's chaotic production overshadowed whatever brilliance was hiding inside. For years, it drifted through cinemas and television screenings as a strange, uneven Western from a superstar who tried directing once and never again. But time changes reputations. As film scholars revisited the movie, its bold imagery, complex psychology, and coastal Western aesthetic began earning serious respect. Restoration efforts revealed just how gorgeous the VistaVision photography truly was, and a new generation of filmmakers praised Brando's raw, unconventional choices. The film's cult grew, not from hype, but from rediscovery. In 2018, the Library of Congress selected One-Eyed Jacks for the National Film Registry, recognizing it as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. A messy beginning, but a legendary ending.
I'll bring the coroner over. You fellas give me a hand.
Number 2. A Western that ditched the desert for the ocean. Most Westerns live and die in the dust. Deserts, mesas, saloons, dry heat, and endless canyons. But One-Eyed Jacks throws all of that out the window. Brando wanted a setting that felt emotionally unstable, unpredictable, and visually striking. So he set huge portions of the story on beaches, coastal cliffs, and windswept shorelines. It's a Western drenched in salt air instead of sand. These oceanfront locations gave the film a surreal, dreamlike tone. Gunfights happen with waves crashing behind them, betrayals play out under seaside sunsets, and the film's mood shifts with the tides. It's unlike anything in the genre at the time, a Western where the landscape doesn't reassure you, it unsettles you. Even critics who hated the movie admitted the visuals were unforgettable. It turned a frontier revenge story into something almost mythic.
Thought maybe they got you, that's why I come out here.
Number 1. Brando destroyed footage he thought made him look weak. Of all the chaos behind One-Eyed Jacks, nothing is stranger, or more revealing, than the scenes that simply vanished. During editing, Brando reviewed hours of footage and grew intensely self-critical. Whenever he felt a take made him look foolish, unmasculine, or emotionally vulnerable in a way he didn't approve of, he didn't just cut it, he reportedly ordered those reels destroyed. Crew members later recalled boxes of film disappearing, trims that were never archived, and entire emotional beats that existed in production notes but not in the editing room. Brando's insecurities, combined with his need for control, led him to literally erase parts of his own performance from history. The lost footage has never resurfaced, not in restorations, not in archives, not in studio vaults. For a movie born out of abandoned scripts, studio battles, blown budgets, and one of the most unpredictable stars in Hollywood history, One-Eyed Jacks shouldn't have survived, let alone become a classic. But that's the strange magic of it. Out of chaos came a Western unlike anything else. Ocean winds, psychological storms, and a director who poured every bit of himself into the frame, even when it nearly sank him. And if you enjoyed diving into the madness behind this film, make sure you subscribe and hype this video so more people discover it. We've got plenty more wild stories from the golden age of cinema coming your way, and trust me, the next ones get even stranger. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next reel.